Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on a wonderful Saturday evening. Just give us a few seconds more as more people join in the audience. Thank you so much. We are definitely going to be having a really wonderful and exciting session, a lot of interactions. You can unmute Murli as well on this video, Murli Surya, our charter member. So it's 4:31. So as they say, anytime a Zoom webinar starts in the interest of time, let us start this. So thank you, everyone. My name is Vijeta Shastri, part of course, the TiE Bangalore team. Extending a very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you who's taking time out to join us. We are having a very interesting session, a great conversation. And of course, I don't have to talk too much about it because that's why you guys are here. And I think what's more important is I would like to immediately hand over this session, this fireside chat that I'm having with Byju, the TiE Bangalore EdTech SIG launch and our partnerships to Madan Patki, who's the president of TiE Bangalore. And over to you, Madan. We all are looking forward to a fantastic conversation and a very interesting session now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vijeta. Good afternoon, everybody. Delighted to be here and warm welcome to all of you. My name is Madan Padki. I'm the president of TiE Bangalore, an entrepreneur the last couple of decades. Been an EdTech entrepreneur, and that's why this is so close to my heart. Co-founded a company called MeritTrack along with Murli and Mohan Kanegal. TiE Bangalore itself has played a very pivotal role in my own journey as an entrepreneur. I still falter, as many of you may be aware, TiE Bangalore is a part of a global network of an entrepreneurial community with over 60 plus chapters across the globe. TiE Bangalore was one of the first chapters to get started out way back in 1999. Interestingly, we were very proud to have Nandan Nilekani as our founding president. TiE Bangalore's objective is to make and enable every entrepreneur succeed. And fostering entrepreneurship is the byline and the way we live at TiE Bangalore. And as I was mentioning, I was fortunate to be a part of the TiE Bangalore associate member way back in 99, 2000, when I was co-founding MeritTrack. And I must say that the influence that a network like this, a community like this has had on me personally as an entrepreneur and on MeritTrack as a venture startup has been immense. And my real dream is that each one of you are able to take the same kind of benefit and to access the same kind of networks, the warmth that we have amongst our charter members, amongst our associate members, and be really a part of the community that will celebrate, cheer, and root for every entrepreneurial success in each of your journeys to really make an impact on the society around us by bringing in a variety of products and services that make sense to the world around us. The special interest groups, we call it the SIG. Many of you may be wondering, what is this EdTech SIG? TiE operates a set of interest groups called the special interest groups. We have a very vibrant IoT special interest group. We have a vibrant women entrepreneurship group. EdTech SIG is being launched today, or I must say relaunched today. And the idea is to create a variety of interest groups that makes that our charter members and our members are passionate about, and to kind of support entrepreneurs who are on that specific journey, because we do believe that, well, there are certain common threads on an entrepreneurial journey. There's a certain domain knowledge, there's a mentoring which is specific to the domain that goes a long way in helping each of you to succeed. As I mentioned, today we are honored to have to launch the EdTech SIG in collaboration with AWS EdStart. Delighted to have Sunil PP on this at this launch with us. Welcome, Sunil, and thank you for collaborating with TiE Bangalore on the EdTech SIG. The SIG per se is all about how do you really provide mentoring, investor connects, go-to-market connects, knowledge sharing, being inspired by other entrepreneurs who have gone on that journey much ahead of us and learn from their own journeys. And it's only appropriate that today we are launching this EdTech SIG with a terrific fireside chat with Byju Raveendran, who's blazed a glorious path in becoming one of the most valuable startups and one of the world's most valued EdTech startups as well. And in conversation with him will be Srikanth Iyer, who is, before the home lane avatar, he was an EdTech entrepreneur around the same time. I think we started out at the same time with EduRite and then with TutorVista and Pearson. So it's a pleasure to have Srikanth in a conversation with the Byju as we unravel the mind of an entrepreneur. Now, Byju's has several connotations for us as an education company, as of course a phenomenal brand. But today the spotlight will be on Byju, the entrepreneur. Right? What makes Byju tick? What are the entrepreneurial mantras that Byju has that we can all learn from? And how do you build a team, an entrepreneurial startup such as Byju's, and take it to glorious heights? So that's the objective of today's event. And we will bring many more events like this as we go along to delve into the minds of the entrepreneurs and understand them better so that each of us can learn in our own ways on what will make our venture successful. Before I hand it over to Sunil to talk a bit about AWS EdStart and share, what AWS EdStart is all about, what is it doing globally and in India. Let me just request the team to be put together a small video. Interestingly, as many of you may be aware, the TiE, any TiE chapter is a voluntary organization. We are a group of charter members who are successful entrepreneurs who want to give back to the society, who come together. Interestingly, TiE Bangalore has over 138 charter members, and we have about 34 of them who have raised their hands to become a part of the EdTech SIG and to support entrepreneurs on their journey. So delighted to have this very passionate group of charter members supporting the EdTech SIG as well. So with that, let me request the team to play a short 30-second video that we put together announcing this EdTech SIG, and then I'll hand it over to you, Sunil, to talk about AWS EdStart. Thank you. And Sunil, before I hand it over to you, I just want to make a request to all the audience. We are running a small survey. I'm just posting the link in the chat box right now. This is like a 30-second survey to check if you'd be interested in joining the EdTech community, in signing up for the AWS EdStart, to reach out to you and to check whether you'd be interested in participating in a cohort. So request each of you to fill in this 30-second form so that we can get back to you post the event with a range of activities that we have planned for the EdTech SIG. So please do click on the link and let us know your inputs. And with that, let me hand it over to you, Sunil.
Hey, thank you, Madan. Hey, hi, everybody. It's an interesting cold Saturday evening in Bangalore. I also have my colleague Deepika on the call. So if you guys have anything to chat about, please go get busy on chat. Deepika will jump on board to help us out. I'm going to take maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just walk you through a quick set of slides to help you look at what AWS EdStart's all about. And then we can get started. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, we can see the presentations.
Perfect. So hi, my name is Sunil. I run the education business for AWS. Education in AWS includes a lot of different industries, including education, technology, and space. So it's quite a busy portfolio of things. I'm going to just walk you through the program called EdStart that we've been running in India as part of the global initiative for the last couple of years, I think 1.5 years odd. So the EdStart program primarily is a virtual accelerator, and we have hundreds and hundreds of members globally that have benefited with the association with AWS. And we have primarily identified a whole bunch of programs and modes to engage with early stage startups in the education space, prioritizing primarily around a few things, right? Making sure that the early stage startup has access to technology, and AWS by far will be able to give you the required technology to scale. That's number one from a priority perspective. We're also looking at trying to enable education in a much better way. So how does education and technology meet, and how do we drive education forward is a big priority of this initiative. And we also look at connecting the dots. Madan, myself, Srikanth, I've known each other for a very long time, and it's interesting how our roles have changed over the years. And here I am again talking. Okay, so it's been an interesting journey for us, from being startups, both Srikanth and Madan being at EdTech startups largely. EdStart as a program has been around across 30 odd countries, has a large portfolio of customers that have benefited from being part of it. And the benefits primarily is that you can join really early. A 3 to 5 year old startup can come in and join immediately as an EdStart innovator and start working at a very early stage and become a member. And you can move between these two criteria very easily. And the intent of these programs primarily is to ensure that if you have an idea that you require some sort of support to try and take off, we're happy to help you out and get you started. So that's something where the innovator tier comes in, and then you can become a full-blown member and take the entire spectrum of benefits, including local mentoring sessions, look at technology support, look at global interactions, etc. And that's why TiE plays an important part. Okay. For all of you all that can look at the colors and define this, so the benefits between the two tiers primarily is that if you're looking at an innovator tier, you primarily would have the white colored components. If you're looking at a member tier, you would get all the components that are there in these blocks, primarily as benefits. Okay, I will not go against each line here. It's all available on the web, and I want to make sure we spend more time talking rather than looking at these slides. Okay, so the EdStart program is open and running. We have it across the region, and we'll be also extending it across markets like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh soon to look at the South Asia spread of the program. So you can reach out to us to figure out how well you qualify and where can you start on this journey with AWS. We're happy to help you. We also have collaborators that we've tied up for in India, 3 big collaborators, UNICEF, TiE, and T-Hub, that work with us and can primarily give you unique areas to get mentored on. UNICEF, TiE, T-Hub all have their benefits. So you can reach out to us and we can get you connected here and see how we can work on leveraging these ecosystems. We've been very busy. We've been doing a whole bunch of stuff in spite of the lockdown, in spite of everything. We also had an actual physical meeting sometime in February, in between the last 2 shutdowns, and we took the effort of bringing a whole bunch of founders together at Hyderabad, and we're doing that continuously. So we have a whole bunch of venture funds talking to us. We have startup founders talking to us, and the idea is to make sure that we have a continuous flow of information and guidance and mentoring in the best possible way that you can lean on and pick up on. Interestingly, if you look at this slide, the beauty of the EdStart program is that we've got members across this, okay, across all the top 100, we have an EdStart member that's in every block. Okay, that's the effect of the program that we're running. So every single block, whether it's workforce skills, discovery, admission, test prep, there is an EdStart member there in this block across top 100. We've been very busy in India. So we've got a whole bunch of startups in India that are leveraged us, and the global marketplace are primarily looking at taking on that. And we have some of the interesting names, Nguru, Ecovation in India, that primarily has leveraged EdStart, Playablu, looking at more. We have a couple of quotes on them also coming in. We're doing a couple of changes that you should look out for. One that I'm really excited about is the CPC certificate. So EdStart members primarily get 50% off your CPC certification exam. So in case you're looking at getting learned and trained and certified, please sign up for the EdTech SIG and become part of the program so you get access to that 50% off. We have that coming in. Besides that, we have a very interesting ebook that's going to be launched over the next 45 days, which captures a whole bunch of EdStart members that have done significant impact across the education portfolio, whether it's from government education, private education, coaching institutions, VR, AR content. We've got the entire spectrum of services that we can look at dipping into. I think that's one of the uniqueness about India, right? You primarily have a large variety for defining its education. It's not just conventional education. And that's what the USP from India really is. And I keep telling that to most people that we talk about, that we have the complexity and the scale, which is a huge plus point for us to look at education technology to take off in a big way. We're looking at actually building a very focused EdTech community, which is what the TiE SIG is all about. The special interest group primarily is looking at figuring out how we leverage this absolutely amazing power that TiE has, both locally and globally, around creating a mentorship environment that EdTechs can dip into, and look at figuring out ways that we can learn from the larger group of people that form part of TiE, and look at how we can leverage those connects to open up new markets, new segments, and new opportunities for you. Okay, that's fundamentally what we're looking at doing this. Okay, and the intent really is that how do you make sure that the portfolio of members that we have across TiE can primarily help open doors, whether it's private institutions, private education, government education. How do you leverage the new education policy in India? How can EdTechs play an important part there? Because that's a digitization journey that is going to change education forever. How does EdTechs primarily jump in and contribute to that change that's coming our way? These are areas that I think the SIG will play an important part, and I'm keen to see how we can actually leverage that. We have a few testimonies. I won't spend too much time on everybody, but Ecovation is one that I think is interesting, and they've scaled tremendously over the years with regard to trying to drive adoption of learning-based solutions. I love this logo, so I like to keep it here. Arshan is doing a phenomenal work around trying to help Nguru with English learning. That's something that he's been doing a phenomenal amount of work. He's part of EdStart for some time and is scaling tremendously right we speak. Playover looks at gamified learning, and is something that somebody's been working on it extensively on AWS. Okay, so these are the examples that we have from Indian. We have a couple of global EdStart members that also had good things to say around the success that they've got through EdStart as a program. And you should try and reach out and try and figure out the best way we can leverage this as you build your platforms for education. Okay, and these are a few names that we can talk about. Okay, and we have some phenomenal work that's happening across the globe that any EdStart in EdTech company in India can dip into and learn from. So you can actually cut the entire process of learning through experimentation by learning through experience that people have had across geographies, and see how we can look at moving forward. We're socially hyperactive, so please reach out to us, write to us. You can chat on this in this conversation today. Okay, and here are the email IDs for you to contact. Deepika runs EdStart as a program for India. She's a point person for this. And if you require any questions, queries, please write a mail to us and we'll be happy to jump in to address that. Thank you. Back to you, Madan.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunil. No, this is super exciting. And I think that's what makes our collaboration with AWS EdStart very alluring as well. It's just not an India network, but you have a global footprint, right? You have startups from across the globe, China, Brazil, US. And I think especially as EdTech entrepreneurs, it'll be wonderful to understand trends and what's happening in these markets, who's doing what, and what can we learn from them here, and what learnings we can take from here to other markets globally as well. So thank you, Sunil, and Deepika for supporting the EdTech SIG. Super excited. As I mentioned, given that my passion on education and a very vibrant community we have on EdTech in TiE Bangalore, we have done several editions in the past. We had actually launched in 2015 something called as Eduthon, where we had shortlisted a few startups. They had applied to us to pitch. Very interestingly, one of our first winners of Eduthon in 2015 in February was a startup called LabinApp, started by a group of very bright young college graduates out of BVB College, Hubli, Pawan Shinde and team. And as Sunil, you were speaking, I just tried to Google, that story, and I'm just posting that 2015 link on this chat. It was interesting to see these 6 startups pitch to a group of us. And I think Shrikant Iyer was in the room, so was Sri Krishna from Unitas, and Anand Sudarshan from Ex Manipal, and myself. Unitas went on to invest in Labinapp, and so did Anand and I, invest into Labinapp. And very coincidentally, I think 6 or 8 months ago, Labinapp got acquired by Byju.
Correct.
So is another startup, and I was just looking at the second cohort we did in 2015 of Eduthon 2, and one of the startups there who had presented their plan to us was Hashlearn. And interestingly enough, Hashlearn also got acquired by Byju, I think last year. So the idea is that we want to discover more and more Hashlearns, Labinapps of the world. We want to support all of you on this passionate journey. And Sunil, as you were sharing in your slide, there are many things that we can do, right? I think, first of all, which way the wind is blowing, because it's not about building a venture for today. It is about building a venture for the future. And the more we understand the tailwinds and the headwinds that education is facing globally, as well as what kind of models we should be building, that knowledge itself is extremely valuable.
It is, yes.
Right, especially as you look at the global view that you guys have at AWS at Start. I think that kind of a knowledge series will be super useful for us as we go along. Interestingly, I think one of the things that we've had a discussion on is to host a global EdTech conclave sometime in September, October, to try and understand perspectives of thought leaders, of entrepreneurs and investors from across the globe, to share their thoughts on what the future of EdTech can be and what are the lessons for us as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, Madan. So I keep telling people that the uniqueness that India offers is the fact that it's very complex and it's very large. Like, it's not just education, right? You have coaching institutes, tuition centers, you have a variety of different layers that you can dip into. And for an EdTech startup, that's a phenomenal opportunity for them to dip into.
Exactly. No, and I think we can also then plug into the various conferences that AWS itself offers across the globe.
Correct.
Right. And that's the whole idea of creating this EdTech community here. We are also planning to have an EdTech help desk in TiE Bangalore. We will have a bunch of volunteers and interns. So any one of you interested in interning with us at TiE Bangalore, let us know. What we want to do is to create a vibrant, I wouldn't say a database, but a community of entrepreneurs, EdTech entrepreneurs, and organize weekly chat-ups, monthly mentoring sessions, knowledge sharing, collaboration, possibilities, etc., etc. And we will have a special help desk at TiE Bangalore managing this entire community. So the idea is, can we have 500, 600 odd EdTech startups? And by the way, given that we are all virtual, the TiE Bangalore EdTech community is just not limited to Bangalore startups. You could be anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world and still be a part of this community. So please do sign up on the EdTech form that we've just shared and let us know your interest. We want to really be able to say in 5 years hence, just as I was saying, 2015, we spotted Labinapp and Byju's acquired them. I want to be able to say in 2026 that, hey, listen, one of the world's most successful startup, maybe the next Byju's that the world will see, came out from this conversation today, right? So I want to be able to say that, and I think we feel very proud to have enabled that journey to happen. The other thing you mentioned about, Sunil, is the whole mentoring program, which I think is very, very valuable as startups try and navigate the future. And as I mentioned, we have about 34 odd charter members who have volunteered to share their time. I think that also we can segue very well into the AWS Global Mentoring Program as well.
That's something I think is unique for us, Madan. I think from a mentoring perspective, we could take a lead there because the sheer volume of experience that we have as TiE. I think that's something that's very, very unique for us. And I think if the platform is used effectively, any startup that's in the education space will find somebody in the group that can surely help them. Absolutely. No questions asked.
Absolutely. And eventually what we want to do is, when I say eventually, maybe in the next couple of months, we want to be able to identify a cohort of 10, 12 EdTech startups that we will start working very closely with. This kind of aligns well with the EdTech, the EdStart program that you have as well.
Correct.
What we want to do is to put the power of TiE Bangalore and AWS EdStart behind a few selected startups and kind of help them accelerate on their journey by providing go-to-market connects, mentor connects, investor connects. TiE is a fairly vibrant group of angel investors as well as seed stage investors, and we want to be able to showcase some of these entrepreneurs as well. I was just seeing a comment from one of our attendees. My dream at TiE Bangalore is to go beyond Bangalore into the hinterlands of Karnataka. There are several startups out there, several entrepreneurs out there who are trying to make a difference. And the idea is to focus on rural as well as urban into this SIG as well. So we're super excited about this collaboration, Sunil, and I'm sure this is the first of several events and several initiatives that we will do together. So thank you to you and the team at AWS for supporting us, and look forward to working together. Folks,
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one comment, Madan. I think we should repeatedly tell everyone participating that this market for India is going to extrapolate into something really large, primarily because the new education policy is pushing for digitization, and every EdTech is going to play a massively big part here. I think India is going to be different in the next 3 to 4 years from an education perspective, and every startup has a great opportunity to be part of it.
And I completely agree with that. I don't think the timing could have been even better.
Correct.
NEP with the post-COVID digital trust.
Exactly.
Right? And various models of going beyond the smartphone. Interestingly, I think AWS EdStart, we had partnered last year as well, where we had done a learning challenge on startups that look beyond the smartphone to take learning.
Correct.
So I think those are the kind of initiatives that we should push hard. So folks, welcome to this journey. And Sunil, I was just thinking it's only appropriate that you're handling both education and space. You should be able to take education to space very soon.
soon.
So with that, a quick reminder again, please do fill in the form so that we know your interest and we can then get back to you. As I mentioned, this is not an event. This is an event to kickstart a series of engagement with each of you over the period of the next several years. So join the joyride and let's have fun while making a dent in the universe. With that, I wouldn't want to stay between you and our star speaker, the star entrepreneur of the day. So let me welcome Byju Raveendran as well as Srikanth Iyer to join, who's just joined us now. Srikanth, thank you for getting us our rock star to participate in this workshop and the fireside chat today. Without further ado, Srikanth, thank you for hosting this, and Byju, a warm welcome to you, and really an honor and privilege to have you on this launch. Have you with us on this launch.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Terrific. So Srikanth, over to you.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this conversation.
Hey, thanks, Madan, and thanks to the AWS team also for sponsoring this. Really happy that we can encourage more EdTech startups. Byju, we are not normally formal, but I must formally also thank you for making time. Really kind of you to have accepted within a minute of me asking you. So appreciate that. Let me just, before we start, actually, I guess there's no need to introduce you. I can save those 2 minutes. So everybody knows you, right? So I don't have to unless they've been living in a cave for the last 3 years, I guess they probably know you. But before we start, what I wanted to do was, I want to tell the audience that the format is as follows. So we'll do about 35-40 minutes of some questions that I've curated from myself and from other charter members and other startups, and actually some of Byju's own, maybe colleagues, which is a surprise for him a little bit also. But other than that, after that, we're going to have a bit of a 5-minute kind of a pitch from one of the startups who's done extremely well for TiE. We'll come to that after about 40 minutes. And then we will ask Byju questions that you want him to ask. So I've requested, TiE to kind of filter some of the audience questions and show it to us so that we can try and do that. So we are hoping that we can get this. We can do this in about an hour's time. So that's the format. So my request is, if you want to start putting in questions that you may have for Byju, please start putting that in so that we can start curating that. Yeah. Thanks so much. All right. So let me get, Byju, one of the things that I wanted to do.
Srikant, quality of the session is never about the answers, is about the questions you ask. I'm just putting you under pressure.
All right. Thank you. No problem. No pressure. So one of the things that I wanted to always talk to you about, and a little bit of it, maybe I know, but I don't know too much, but I'm sure the audience wants to know is about, your a little bit of your personal story, right? Your early childhood, something must have inspired you on this entrepreneurship journey. Maybe if you want to talk, we know that you studied in a school in Kerala. I've heard you tell me that a few times. I'm sure the audience also has heard of it, but we don't know a little more. So can you give us a little more color? We can start from there and see, how you managed to, evolve into the entrepreneur that you are now.
I think those growing up years has a lot of influence in being able to do things which we are doing today. Got a lot to do with the kind of freedom which I got from my teacher parents. When I say the kind of freedom, like they never questioned me when I used to bunk most of the sessions in school, them being teachers. And so that kind of freedom, I do enjoy that kind of freedom from investors today. And that's the reason I'm able to make decisions fast. As you know, a lot of decisions are made fast. And so went to government school or with all the challenges which we see in our education system. Now, being a self-learner throughout, the conviction on self-learning, the first set of products which we have launched, the first 5 years of the company was defined by the learning apps, and learning apps which is created for self-learning or active learning. There is no teacher involved. That's in a country which is obsessed with spoon feeding, where unfortunately learning which is still driven by fear of exams and not love for learning. We came out with this product which was all about love for learning, or creating that love for learning, bringing that curiosity back in students. That's mostly from within. So now when I say self-learning, the subjects which were close to me, I used to go deep and learn on my own. And I used to teach kids in the village, students in school, then my friends in college. So because when you are teaching students at very different levels, you are forced to think very deep, and that kind of created and when you teach, you learn more, right? And this has been that continuous process where what started off in like early 2000 as where I used to teach my friends, with 35 of them, is to teach them for CAT. It ended up scaling so fast that by the time I took the 6th session, it scaled like a geometric progression. 35 became 1200. My 7th session was the auditorium was full. Auditorium in Jyotinivas College in Bangalore. Right. And I never looked back. So this I did during a break when I was working outside in a ship management firm. Now, some more color on those growing up years. I used to spend most of my time outside classrooms. From early morning to late night, I used to play multiple games. And that's where you learn all the real life skills, whether it's performing under pressure, having that killer instinct, And especially if you are playing those games for fun, not when you are not if you are going to a coaching class or a coaching camp and learning those games, where it's like today when if you see what's actually happening is the 5-year-olds in football coaching camps, they are not enjoying. They are under so much pressure. Coach is shouting at them. That's not how you learn a game. If you are doing things for fun, whether it's games, whether it's business, chances are that you will end up doing well, right? And you will do it in such a way that, and that's what I tell investors also, that my first pitch to them is that I'm doing this for fun. And though some of them initially it's a shock when I tell them that I'm doing this business for fun, I also tell them, I immediately tell them that that's exactly the reason why I can build something which, at least the aspiration is to build something which will last for decades. And you can never, like, if you had met me 10 years back, 15 years back, and if you, like, most people have told me that we are hungrier than ever before, aspiration is bigger. So, and at the end of the day, if you can find that right balance between ambition, skill, and capital, you can literally do whatever you want.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, amazing, from being teaching students in your hometown to being the world's largest EdTech startup is this phenomenal. I think there's no other word to say that. Okay, one other side question on this. I've heard of stories of Ranjan Pai from Manipal having met you in a coffee shop, and by the time you finish the coffee, or at least he finished the coffee, I don't think you drink coffee or tea, that you had already shaken hands. Is that true, or is it just one of those other stories?
At least that's what he has, like, he has kind of confirmed investment in that meeting itself, in a very short meeting. It was like, I was not looking for investment, like I was in Manipal taking sessions for the MIT students, and what he has told me is that he has seen a session where like previous weeks where like hundreds of students were learning from a screen without a teacher, and he was surprised to see MIT students attending a class without a teacher over there. And I went there to I used to take the first session, a demo session, and then followed by we used to play videos. Literally, we used to play videos, not even live streaming, because I used to take session in Bangalore, and the same session we used to either broadcast through VSAT, or we used to do recorded sessions in colleges like this. So he was surprised to see almost 400 plus students, like there's a like Value View auditorium with pin drop silence attending classes. It's almost like watching a movie, attending math classes or for CAT coaching. And when he was visiting, he asked for, like, I was having breakfast over there, and I don't know whether, like, how far, what gave him the conviction to decide so fast. Maybe he has decided before, but it was just a very, very short meeting. And it was, I was not planning to raise money. It's more like, so when we proposed something, I asked for a valuation which won't, which actually won't justify anything which we were doing at that point of time. I told him that this is the only way I'll do it. If you want, you can. Otherwise, maybe we can meet later. So, and it happened, and happened for good.
So I think that habit you haven't forgotten. You're still doing the same tactic, I guess.
Now I won't say at that time valuation, and there was still the consistently increasing valuation. It's like, if you're not backing it up with value creation, like, you can't do this for this long, right? So it's the first 2 rounds, maybe we were ahead in terms of raising money at like slightly future valuation, and there was no science as such, because it was like for me, since I was not planning to raise money, I just want, like, I just asked for a number and I got it. So like, we were doing like 4 or 5 crores of revenue, and the first round happened at 200 crores valuation. Absolutely. In fact, there was no product was getting ready, but he didn't even see a product demo, or there was no there's no PPT. It was just an informal meeting.
Absolutely. No, that's great. I mean, at least one doubt got cleared from my mind, at least today. Okay. So, I mean, that actually comes to the next question. Like you're saying, from then till now.
Shrikant, just to give some more color to it, I'll add something. It is not that, I won't say he was foolish in giving that, because he asked for 3x minimum guarantee for, like, if we were not able to do well, we would have lost everything, because by that time, when I say everything, like I was almost doing it alone. Like this is in 2013, and I immediately agreed. I also, because there was no, most of what we have done is based on first principles. Like we have not used bankers while raising money, and like in any of the rounds. So when he asked for a 3x minimum guarantee, I have also told them that, okay, if it's 3x, then we will also cap you at a certain X. And that we crossed that cap in 1 year. And so it was a win-win eventually, though it's like on one side, this is his best investment. And on the other side, he's regretting the fact that he asked for a minimum guarantee, because of which like there was an upper cap. So otherwise, and so that way it's like, it was all everything is done based on like things like that. So we have not looked at what others were doing. We have not, like, whether it's while raising money, while creating product, most of it is we have done in very creative, innovative ways.
Fantastic. That's really nice to know. And for so many years, right? I mean, you've been teaching for so many years, and then you jumped into starting Byju's, and you've been at it for so many years. So, and now you are the world's largest EdTech startup. I mean, so what drives you to get up every day morning? And I have seen you personally. I mean, the drive, and I've known you for 10 years odd now, I guess, at least around 10 years for sure. I see the same drive. In fact, if anything, a little bit more now than what I had seen about 10 years back. So how do you maintain this? I mean, it's not easy to do, right? I mean, we all of us strive to do it, but you seem to do it like in your sleep. So how do you manage to do that?
I normally say that when things are going so well, there is no scope for complacency. And on the other extreme, if things are not going so well, then there's zero reason for becoming complacent, right? So especially when you are doing things which you truly love, and fortunate enough to have my passion intersect with a real need. So, and I never started this as a business. It ended up becoming one. So I have been teaching literally from the time I remember. And when I was in 8th standard itself, I used to teach kids in 11th and 12th, especially math. So math is something which is math and science is self-taught. And even the average English which you are forced to hear, and that's why Srikanth, we should keep it short and we should keep it interactive, is what I've learned by listening to cricket commentary on radio. And and very contextually. So I was obviously not listening to cricket commentary to learn English. Just like for most of us, right? Those who would have grown up in small towns and villages, we would have learned English and most of the languages either through movies or through. For me, it was cricket commentary through radio. So and that's why I ended up speaking too fast, and like that eventually turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because like in 10 minutes investor pitches, when you might get only 15 minutes, let's say with a Mark Zuckerberg. Being able to tell the entire story of what you will normally take maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes is a big advantage.
Okay. So I got an interesting question, which I'm going to ask you now. Again, I'm staying with the personal piece, and then I'm going to move on to the business. So what stresses Byju? There must be something that stresses you. It can't be that nothing stresses you. So what stresses you, and how do you cope? How do you cope with it when you get stressed, if and when you get stressed?
I won't call it stress. It's more like you can't be casual, right? You can't be casual. It's generally it's all about finding that right balance. You need to be on top of things. You need to be you need to have that intensity, but if you are still enjoying that, I'll never call it stress or pressure. It's something which I enjoy. It's in terms of challenging situations, new things, never been scared of failures. And maybe it's got a lot to do with because when you are if you play a lot of games, and if you are playing those games for fun, and you would have and then obviously every time you play to win, it's not that and you lose many times, but once you start winning, and it kind of becomes a habit, right? So stress, I know if I tell you that there is no stress, none of you will believe, but you should ask people, those who are close to me. They will never find me losing my temper, you will never hear stories about me shouting at someone, even minutes before board meeting. This thing, for me, this is just an extension of what I normally do. I give the same importance when I play a game, when I spend time with my kids, or like nothing excites me too much, and nothing puts me under too much pressure. It's about finding that balance. Maybe a lot to do with those growing up years. So
fantastic. Everything in moderation, including moderation, as they say. That's very nice. That's really nice. Okay, so okay, one other interesting one. If you were to start all over again, what would you do differently?
Almost, I always believe that because everything we are learning along the way, right? So in terms of, I don't reflect too much, but since you asked that question, given a chance, if I'm starting again, I'll start from I'll start with grade 1 students and move up rather than doing it the other way around. Reason being, consumption habits are so much global today in terms of, because of the digital revolution, and it's very easy to change the way younger kids learn than trying to break the, let's say, the category code of a test prep, or because over there, like for those high stake exams, we are still many years away from pure online, 100% online learning getting good penetration. And that kind of explains our recent acquisition and why we are planning to go hybrid or blended model over there. But like, given an option, if I am starting today, we will start with grade 1 students and move up rather than the reverse. What we did in 2015, when we launched our first app, it was for 8th grade to 12th grade students, and then we came down. Now we have full coverage from 4-year-olds to 17-year-olds and beyond. But what we have realized, and this is not so intuitive, but what we have realized after, like, in the last 4-5 years, is that it's so easy to because they are still curious. We don't need to. They still love learning, so it's easy to create these formats which are appealing for them. So it's easy to find the right balance between keeping it engaging without losing its effectiveness. Or in simpler terms, which everybody will get it fast, it's easy to put the right amount of chocolate coating before we take them through the broccoli. Because identifying what is chocolate for a 5-year-old, 6-year-old is a lot easier than a 15-year-old.
Absolutely. Okay, my last question, which is kind of a bridge between the personal one before I move on to business and models and things like that, is, I mean, I've heard that you acquire all the companies that some products that your son uses. So is the easiest shortcut to being acquired by Byju making sure that your son is using the product? I mean, I've heard a couple of this one on White Hat, and I heard that your son used it and then you promptly acquired the company. So is that a shortcut? Is there a secret there?
It's a lot of times it's like, as a user, like you go deep with those products, and that's true that both Osmo and White Hat Junior, since my son was using it, that's where I kind of discovered the platform or the product. But as a general answer to that, what I truly believe is that because you'll find a lot of digital entrepreneurs creating these apps and banning it for their own kids. For me, I will do it only if I have the complete conviction to such an extent that if I am promoting something, that's exactly how my son will learn. That conviction is the reason, and that's why whether it's a learning apps which you have created, I won't. So it starts from within, as I mentioned, right? So for my son, Byju's learning app, or the live classes which we have started, that has become his primary mode of learning. And it becomes, if you have that much conviction that this is like, I will only promote things where I know that this is exactly how I would want my son to learn from, or whether it's a platform or the services, it becomes easy to kind of create that awareness among other students. And so it's like an extension of what I've told, right? It's like truly passionate about what we build and what we do. So now it need not be that like all of this we cannot create in-house. That's the reason why when we come across these special entrepreneurs, special platforms and companies, we've been able to convince them to come together to build something bigger, faster, and more importantly, better.
Okay. All right. So there is no shortcut. Sorry, guys. So let me move on to the models, and we a lot of questions on business, but I'll try and keep it to like maybe 4 or 5 within that. So first one is, how did you get the gumption or the how the risk taking ability to spend so much on marketing, right? Pretty much you are a brand which is there everywhere. uh, but the fact of the matter is you also started spending on brand building quite a bit earlier than even before you got confirmed product market fit for the digital product. I mean, that's at least the feeling that I have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you really took that risk and started spending on branding and marketing way before most people would have. So, what was that conviction? How did you take that leap of faith? And, how did, I just want to understand what was your thinking process there?
So though you might think that, how can we kind of go on TV and create, spend a lot of marketing dollars, even before possibly finding the product market fit, but that's not necessarily true, because though we moved from offline to online in 2015, we had the conviction to, one is on spending on marketing, but I'll say the bigger risk, what at least even a lot of people inside felt, is that when we launched the learning app, we actually killed our other model. So there was no half-hearted attempt at creating an online model, because we knew that it will work. And that's because interacting with students for almost 10 years. And maybe I'll use this opportunity to show a video, which is
Sure.
If I can share the screen. This is just to give you an idea on where that conviction came from. Just a point. You're looking at 5 circles here. What is
I've seen this. This is the Delhi Talkatore Stadium, right?
So it's there was a time where I moved, when I was taking those sessions for high school students, I moved from auditoriums to even stadiums. Now, I used to stand in that 6-sided, you can see 3 big screens and 3 on the other side. I used to stand in the middle of that 6-sided screen, and it used to teach thousands of students. In fact, largest set of workshops, it was a series of 15 workshops, which I used to conduct for high school students, attended by 25,000 students, close to 25,000 students. Now, this, in a way, this, though this is, you can say it's offline, but students were still learning from those screens. Now, moving from these big screens to small screens helped us to make it more efficient by making it interactive. And by making it interactive, you can personalize. Here, there is no input coming from students, right? It's just, they were sitting in those sessions. Obviously, they had an option to learn direct from me, but mostly they were still learning from screens. So though the journey included an offline to online part at that time, literally the week we launched these learning apps, I stopped doing the offline part. So that normally, that's a bigger risk than like spending a few $1 million on TV and things like that. So now, though that product market fit, we were sure about that, because we were building these products, or both platform and content, for almost 4 years, from 2011 to 2015. That those 4 years of co-creating product, trying out multiple formats with students, because building products for students itself is a challenge. Building an educational product is double the challenge, purely because if for most of the entertainment platforms, the only objective is get the engagement part right. But here you need to get the engagement part right. That's very important. That's a leading indicator, and which will result in better outcomes, right? Experience is important, but outcome is the real indicator. If you are not, if parents don't see improvement, they will never renew. So now, that co-creating the product, now because of that offline approach, now we have created this product not based on what students want, and not necessarily based on what technology can do. So using technology as a strong enabler, content first strategy. And by the time we launched this in 2015, we've built that conviction because we've done enough with the students. And during those days, co-creating took that much more time. Today, like any new product which we have launched after that, when we added more subjects, more grades, it has become easier than ever before to figure out what users want, to figure out what students want. And that singular focus on student-centric approach while creating the product, and also while not just while creating the product, while the go-to-market strategy was also designed based on that. We started talking about love for learning, where even our creative agency told that this is a huge risk in India. Nobody talks about love and learning can never go together. It has to be based on, you have to put pressure, you have to like scare them, like all of that, right? But
outcome.
Like we've always said,
depends on outcome. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. No, fantastic. I think it's a very, very important one, right? People underestimate the need to let go of your past if you are actually reaching out into the future and trying something new. Actually, your past is the one which stops you from actually taking that leap of faith most of the time. So it's fantastic. I completely agree that, like you said, letting go and stopping to do the brick and mortar would have been the biggest decision probably. After having 25,000 students, I can't imagine that could have been an easy decision for you. So, but the right one. So fantastic. I mean,
if it is like people say, how do you like? It's having that beginner's mindset. Even when you think you become an expert, you don't become an expert, right? In today's world, things change so fast that if you think that you know everything, and like if you think you are successful, the game is over, right? It's about it's never about winning the game, as you would have read. It's always like if you can stay in the game, and if you can stay in the game for decades, you will end up creating an impact and a big impact.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move to one more topic, which I've been thinking about quite a bit. And, you started with what I call in education, typically in K to 12, let me not go to higher ed for now, but K to 12, I classify products and services into two buckets. One is the must-have bucket, textbooks, schooling, and stuff like that. And then the nice to have bucket, which is, tuitions. Tuitions is also almost a must have now, but kind of, it is optional end of the day. And like coding, learning coding, etc. You have firmly established most of your large businesses in the nice to have bucket from whatever I have seen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, that most of the revenue comes from obviously self-learning, but also from White Hat Junior and from all the other large pieces that you have, which are all in the nice to have bucket. Was that a thought out strategy, or you want to stay away from selling to schools and going towards that because it's got too much of too many strictures and a lot of controls and stuff like that. So was that one of the reasons? Just want to understand.
We went with B2C mainly because, again, as I mentioned, out of all the stakeholders involved, students, parents, teachers, schools, management, early on we have realized it's very easy to change the way kids learn rather than trying to convince parents. Now, parents will get convinced if they see that kids, like in our case, learning from a screen and paying for it, like 5 years back, 6 years was not a habit, right? So we had to, like, when we launched our learning app, there was no app for learning. It's almost like we had to create like that category itself, right? So now I won't agree to the must-haves or the nice to have, because learning, creating this habit of learning how to learn, or making sure that students are encouraged to or take initiative in learning, where like rather than completely depending on teachers, and which unfortunately in lot of cases even crosses the border and becomes spoon feeding, or where the focus is only on learning for exams. This is a must have skill, because if you ask me what is the most important thing for anyone, right, whether when we are in school, college, or after that, is that becoming a continuous learner, learning how to learn at least the things which you love, things which you are interested in, is what will differentiate you, right? Whether you are running a business, whether you are learning anything like this, the most important skill for this century and next century, or even beyond that, is learning how to learn. Or in other words, as I all 21st century literates are not the ones who can't read and write. They're the ones who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? So always questioning how can it be better. Now, this is what, if you ask me, in creating this small but fast growing percentage of self learners or active learners, this is where we are making the biggest impact. So they will end up, we are not just helping them for their annual exams. It's someone who starts learning this way, because which a lot of people have forgotten the fact that for online learning to really work, and it's not that intuitive again, for online learning is almost like self-learning. Because why I'm telling that, it requires students to be motivated. It requires students to love what they see on the screen, what they interact with on the screen. Because jumping out of an online classroom, like in this session, if you are getting bored, you can simply just, it's a click away from jumping out of the classroom, right? But when it comes to all offline classrooms, there is some kind of force. You're forced to attend the sessions. Now, it's a different matter that we don't attend classes in our universities, most of us. I used to do that in school itself, and that's why I feel that I have an advantage of spending so much time outside classrooms, because in terms of learning life skills. But for online learning to work, it has to be driven through formats which are appealing for students to learn on their own. That's where we have invested heavily early on, and this insight came from users only, because we have tried out multiple formats where the movie-like videos, the game-like interactions which you have created. We have now almost 3,000 plus people, member team, creating all of this in-house in our core products, as well as in all these acquisitions which we have done, and that's a huge competitive advantage. There are not many brands globally, those who invest even a fraction of what we invest in creating this content plus platform, mainly content, right? So it's unfortunate, right? This is such a grossly neglected sector that there are like multiple entertainment platforms investing billions of dollars, tens and billions of dollars year after year, creating entertainment content. Can you name a single company, those who have even invested globally $200 million in creating content which is for educational purposes? You won't be able to name. It's that unfortunate, right? It's now maybe a reason for this is that investors have stayed away from this sector for a long time, because it takes a lot of time to show results. For us, as I told you, we took 4 years to launch our first online product, which people do. Now, if you try short circuiting this, because if you raise money from VCs, and they're not going to give you 4 years time to launch a product, right? So if you try short circuiting this in 1 year, then you're not going to get it right.
Absolutely. I saw one more interesting question. Is there a place for another Byju's in EdTech? And if so, what problem areas still exist that is large enough to create another Byju?
This is one of those sectors which is this is one of those last sectors where technology is just about making an intervention, like in terms of eventually it took a pandemic like this for a lot of stakeholders to even try out online learning, forget about adopting. So whether it's teachers trying out, there is no platform, like you name a platform which teachers can use to teach. There's no platform. Like one, you can say that teachers will run back to offline classrooms because that's their habit. It's going to take a lot of effort and time to change that habit of finding the right balance between, because there are things which can be done better online, right? There are no two ways about it. And there are a few things which can only be done offline, right? It's never about 100% online or 100% offline at the end of the day, right? So if there's an opportunity across, it's like in terms of, though you have mentioned the largest and the valuable and most valuable things like that, it's all just relative success, right? There is a long way to go even for us to say that we are successful. So across all sectors, there is an opportunity, whether it's helping teachers teach better, helping institutions go online better, because there is an opportunity not for one but multiple players globally, right? There is no like the largest K-12 B2C EdTech company in US. There's no one. Everyone caps out at 100 million revenue. But today there is an opportunity, like US, you look at all other sectors, there are multiple $10 billion market cap companies, right? In education, there is nobody. There is one check and everybody else in US. And
great. Awesome.
And I believe that we have an advantage. I'm assuming all of you are based out of India. We have an advantage here. Starting in India, being based out of India is an advantage here and not a disadvantage, purely because such a large primary market, domestic market, where the kids are hungry to learn. You don't need to create awareness for learning in India. Whereas and then that's a big advantage. So starting in India and then scaling it globally is a huge opportunity. And this is one thing which I'm 100% sure that education technology will be defined by us. No, I'm not talking about Byju's, defined by Indians. Like we have a real opportunity, just like how we did in some of the other sectors. Like you can have two, like if you ask me 5 years out, 10 years out, you'll find a lot of companies those who will create these like high quality asynchronous content offered through platforms which will personalize the way it's when students learn on their own. And on the other side, it's not that teachers are here to stay, schools are here to stay. And on the other side, you'll find millions of tutors. There'll be a long tail of millions of tutors. And that's where India can India can create the largest teacher pool for the world, at least the English speaking world, if not more. So.
Awesome.
And so that golden age of teachers is going to come back. Today, anyone can go online and start teaching, right? So as I mentioned previously, 5 years back, 10 years back, 20 years back, when we were growing up, we didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. One other one before I move on to a juicy topic, which is, M&A and fundraising. But the last question before that, how did you manage to pull off the Disney deal? I mean, there must be some story behind that. I mean, nobody has done something like that before. How did you even manage to do something like that?
So, like when this happened in this is almost like 2017. That's 3 years back. We were not that big, right? So it's like convincing. Yeah, we maybe they got convinced with our product development capability because we showed what we can do with. We took 2-3 months creating a format and. For Disney, especially for markets like India, this is also strategic because for that age group, for the 4 to 8 year age group, there's only a thin line between what is. You need to make sure that it's engaging and a lot of content which students consume today, right? So, and that's a positive change, right? Compared to 20 years back, 30 years back, today, if you take a look at the most popular YouTube channels for kids, they are educational in nature, right? So there's a lot of these are not the kind of cartoons, action cartoons, which used to be the most popular content for kids. That has completely changed. You look at like what the 4 to 6 year olds, 4 to 7 year olds are consuming today. So we saw an opportunity in terms of even whether it's India, any of the other markets. When we did a large scale survey among the 6 to 7 year olds, I'm just telling on why Disney and why we launched a product with Disney in India 2 years back, is out of the top 10 characters for a 6-year-old, when we did that research, large scale research, there was only one Indian character and 9 were global characters, and 6 of them belong to Disney. So it's not that when we are in those partnership discussions, it's not that we had a plan B, but somehow we were able to convince them now in terms of how. So maybe they realize potential in terms of co-creating a product. When I say co-creating, we create the product, and obviously it's been painstakingly slow, but eventually we have something which is a global product, something which can be scaled in multiple markets. We just launched that in US a few weeks back, and we are localizing that and taking this to multiple markets, even non-English speaking markets. And for that age group, you can't innovate too much on the content side of it. So getting that media component, it's like I always think of ourselves as an education media technology company, because all the products which we build is at the intersection of content, media, and technology. In simpler terms, content team, they make sure that it's effective. Media team, they make sure that it's engaging, and technology is used to both solve challenges around access, but more importantly, to make it more efficient, right, from a personalization point of view. So Disney was the real, literally the only option, and that has become a huge competitive advantage globally. Now it's a very long-term exclusive partnership on structured curriculum. Fortunate enough that we were able to convince at that time, and that too, you won't find many similar things where they have a partnership with an Indian company, which is not well beyond a licensing deal. The product is a co-branded product.
Fantastic. So let me move on, like I said, to the juicy part, which is, fundraising and, first question, why do you keep raising money every 3 months, when you are already profitable, you raise billions literally, it feels like you do that every few months, right? At least to a few normal people like us. That's what it feels like. So why do that when you are and we know Byju's is profitable. I think it's already been stated and it's pretty well known. So why?
It is, it's an easy answer in terms of if we are just planning to do this in India and our core model, we are already profitable. And in fact, we were profitable like last year itself, right? So, but there is so much to be done. I told you that this is it's almost impossible to believe that there is not a single $100 billion company in such an important sector globally. Whereas for everything else, which is not as core as education, there are many like that. So it's a grossly underinvested sector. So and we strongly believe that there can be till 12 months back, we were just focused on Byju's learning app. That's a huge multiple billion-dollar opportunity globally. The learning apps, the asynchronous model. The last 12 months, we have now we are making a strong entry in test prep with Akash. Right. That's also with a large acquisition, and we have also launched something called Byju's Future School in all the English-speaking markets. And even I don't think most of you will know that we have a 500+ member team in Mexico, and whereas that's an initiative started just 3 months back. So it's there's strong product market fit even in those markets where education system is even more broken. So there's really not a single B2C offering over there. We are able to obviously we have built a strong local team, but when it comes to platform, when it comes to most of content, we are able to repurpose, localize, get the curriculum adaptation done, and launch within months, right? So my question is, why should not we do it? Yeah. When there is an opportunity, and when there is an opportunity to create students, those who are active learners, not just in India, but aspiration here is to launch this in most of the big markets outside China. So, and in terms of and that requires capital, right? It's like you have to invest upfront 1-2 years, but it takes only that much. The opportunity is so big that if you know how to create products for kids, and since you have an opportunity to get them on board early on, and we have products now starting from 4 up to 17, and very soon we'll also be having it for beyond that, right? So you get them on board, create this habit of online learning, and once they start learning this way, they will stay on the platform, right? Because alternate option of going back and reading from a book. And that's why, so though you mentioned that it's a must-have and a good to have, it's we have not made it easy for students, right? Like for how we consume content for everything else is a lot different and a lot easier and a lot more personalized than how but for why should we just read from a book and learn, where there is an opportunity of, learn by seeing is a lot more powerful, right? If you see, what we have done is, we have enhanced the learning formats from just learn by reading at home or learn by listening in a classroom. We have taken that one level above, multiple levels above, by adding learn by seeing through our videos, learn by playing through our games, and now learn by doing with the activities. And that's why, just before this, I heard Madan mentioning about Labin app, and that team has actually added a lot of they lead an initiative where we have created these formats where students learn by doing things both on screen, and we have also been able to use computer vision to bring what they do off screen using a pen and a paper, and how we bring that online. So we've been continuously innovating on both content side and platform side.
Fantastic.
So it requires and that most of the recent fundraising efforts have actually to fund these acquisitions, right? The core model, it's already generating cash. So, and these are large acquisitions, some of which we have already announced and some we'll announce very soon. If you see, we've been able to find that balance between organic growth is very strong. We are growing 100% year on year, but because of the acquisitions, and which either for market expertise or for product capability, or in some cases distribution in a new market, we see an opportunity, because consumption the habits are changing so fast, even in US. or in developed markets, there is willingness to learn. And for the first time, parents around the world got a chance to see what really happens inside a classroom. All of us, right? Because in a physical school, like we kind of used to, like what we used to take for granted, especially in parents in US used to take it for granted by sending their kids to the top school, it's taken care. But when there is a classroom of 1 to 15, 1 to 20 and students at very different levels, it's impossible for teachers to personalize anything. That's where we have added a strong one-on-one, one-to-small classroom format where we depend on teachers in India to teach students. And there is no perception disadvantage. In fact, it's a perception advantage when it comes to topics like math, coding, science subjects. It's not the cost arbitrage alone. It's the quality arbitrage, which is a clear differentiator. Like one of my investors yesterday was telling me that he has a physical trainer where like that trainer is in India at $10-12 per hour. He's getting the quality which he's getting is much better than what he used to get in US with like where he was spending $30-40. I was telling $30-40 per hour. You can get Indian cricket team trainer to do this for you one-on-one. So the quality arbitrage, it's not just the cost arbitrage, the quality which we can find in India. And there is an unlimited talent pool on the supply side. What TutorVista tried doing 10 years ahead of its time, right? Because that time the internet in our smaller towns was suboptimal.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Go ahead. I said
no. TutorVista was 10 years. No, TutorVista. That's a very simple model, right? They were 10 years ahead of its time, right? Because both sides on the supply side, the challenge was that there was no quality. Forget about quality internet. Internet itself was not available in smaller towns in those early 10 years, 15 years back. And on the other side, on the demand side, parents, the willingness to learn online was not there. Even in markets like US. In fact, even in so that has changed significantly over the last 12 to 15 months. Because I remember all parents tell that, because like when the classes are running, you get a chance to see what happens inside a classroom. When there are 15 kids in a classroom, it's impossible for teachers to do any kind of personalization. So,
okay, that leads me to my next one. There's only one thing that you are doing faster than raising money. There's only one thing. Byju, do you know what that is? I'll answer for you. Acquiring other EdTech. So I believe that there is a board outside Byju's lift. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have. It says EdTech entrepreneurs who trespass will be acquired. I'm just kidding. So what's the logic? I mean, you are on pretty much. I mean, I've seen you. I've actually interacted with you quite a few times on some of this. I think Lab and App was one example which Madan gave, and many others. I've seen you be extremely agile, extremely nimble, extremely quick decision making, and mostly first reaction is that you are open to it and you want to find a strong reason not to do it, which normally is the opposite of what everybody does, right? Everybody says, nahi, yaar, I don't want to. And then, I want to convince me why I should do this. And then, you ask for somebody to, what's the strategy? Is there a strategy? We know you're the largest tech, but at this pace, acquiring other edtechs, what's the strategy?
On the first question that's the first one on trusting anyone sitting on the other side of the table, whether it's for business partnerships or strategic partnerships, that comes from my growing up background. That's why I always tell that I tell them that I come from a small village. I tell them that I'm not telling this to dramatize the story. That's my biggest advantage. It's not a disadvantage, because you have your first instinct is to you always trust the person on the other side of the table, right? So, and the fact that in what helps the reason for these many acquisitions is also understanding very well that there are only a certain things which we know, right? We know what we don't know. So, and not getting attached to things which we build ourselves, that's very important if you want to kind of continuously disrupt your own model, right? So not getting attached to what you believe, not getting attached to what you build, giving a lot of respect to what others build. And that is important, not just for acquiring, because acquisitions are generally designed to fail. I've heard this from many people, right? So my investors used to discourage this strategy, but now they are blindly trusting me. In fact, now I can just go and tell them that I only need to tell them that I'm doing this. They don't even ask questions. Like it's earned. It's not easy. It's to earn that kind of reputation. You have to make 9 out of 10 acquisitions work, right? Only then now. So like, it's like this, right? When we go to US, we know that we don't know anything about US. Like that's where you start, right? Like accepting that you don't know anything, and accepting that even things which you know, where you think you are an expert, can change and tomorrow it will be different, is very important, right? Having that existential flexibility. And once you have this, you will always respect because otherwise, if you think that, oh, you are the large company, you are a successful entrepreneur, you need to like almost like, and this is also a lot to do with the growing up years. I keep on mentioning that again and again. It's because I give equal importance, and I'm sure you won't believe, I give equal importance, and that's very important. It's like in those early days, I know that I'll get only 15 minutes meeting these like large investors, like or the successful people. Now in that 15 minutes, if you go with that meeting telling that, okay, this is your only chance and you have to impress that, like that's not how I look at people, right? Like I give equal importance to, let's say, Mark Zuckerberg as much as I give it to my driver. And this is, no one is inferior, no one is superior, is the best place to be in, right? And then you can be at your best, right? You don't you give equal importance to both. And this is I have grown up in a hardcore communist village. Now, I don't believe in everything in communism. I'm not a communist, but there are a lot of things which you learn growing up in that kind of a close-knit community, which like in terms of the social fabric over there has played a big role. And this kind of answers why it's not just that we have done these acquisitions, but we have also been able to integrate them well. Like we have used multiple structures. There are cases where the understanding is very clear that the other founder, because it's not that we think very long term. We are thinking for next like many decades, right? Like though the large IPO is on the cards and it will be there in the next 1.5 to 2 years, but that's only a next milestone, right? We are thinking of, and though I mentioned $100 billion multiple times, that's not the aspiration. It's not that once we reach there, when we are about to reach there, we'll raise the bar again, right? That's always the key, right? Keep an aspiration level which you think you will never reach, and when you are about to reach there, raise the bar again, right? So it's so that you can be in this infinite game. So like coming back to the point, so valuing what others do and knowing very well that, so we know what we are good at. And we know how we can extend that advantage, whether it's on like, and in most of these cases, we are actually like, they are very complementary, right? We have hardly done any acquisition to neutralize a competition. All of them are very complementary. In fact, like I normally say that all the large acquisitions, in one sentence, I can explain the complementary nature. Byju is online first, Akash is offline first. We were digital, Osmo is phygital, which brought offline to online. We had the asynchronous expertise. Byte Junior gave us the synchronous expertise. We didn't acquire Byte Junior for coding. We actually acquired them for like we were like shocked and surprised to see the efficiency at which they've been able to scale the teacher operations. It's almost unbelievable what they've done with. So I take the same ownership, though I have not built that in scaling that, right? So we don't have that, and this culture moves from like. We don't act like we are the large company. In a lot of these acquisitions, when we jointly create products, the people from Byju, senior guys from Byju, play a second role, play second fiddle to the leaders. And this is why within 5 months of acquiring Byte Junior, we launched a math product through the Byte Junior platform. Like 90% of the people were working from Byju's side, but all the leaders were from the Byte Junior side. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I know. I've heard all this from the entrepreneurs themselves. So Byju, I mean, I'm in huge respect. I think one point that you made, sticks in my head, which is, irrespective of whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or whoever it may be, I think, giving it the same time, the same attention, the same respect. I think I have actually seen it happen. So hats off to you. I mean, that you pull it off. Actually, I have a few more questions on the team part of it, which is actually very intriguing for me, but I'm going to hold off because, the TiE team is on standby and I don't want to keep them waiting. So what we'll do is we'll just take a quick, not a break, but, we'll get them to talk for a bit. we'll get, I'm going to hand over to another EdTech entrepreneur, Murli, who runs Lodestar, and who's also a mentor for this team. And he'll talk a little bit about the TiE program, and the team, one of the teams will actually present to you. Over to you, Murli. We'll keep this tight, Byju.
Sure.
We should probably take about 6-7 minutes, and then we'll come back to the Q&A. Meanwhile, I'm going to curate some questions which have come from the audience, and then I'm going to ask you those. Okay.
Sure.
Over to you, Murli.
Do you want to? I'm happy to do it for 30 minutes on another time, because 6-7 minutes will be too short a time for anyone to talk about their what they have done. Like optional, like I can give a separate half an hour, like, or more, when you if you think that's a better option.
That's very kind of you. No, we have actually rehearsed this. It probably take maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll come back to a Q&A. So we'll probably extend it by about 10-15 minutes more than we thought, Byju. I hope that's okay with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Am I audible, Shrikant?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Byju. Hi, Shrikant. And good evening, everybody. Thank you, Shrikant and Byju, for this very fascinating conversation into Byju, the person, the company, and the excitement behind India's most iconic EdTech startup. I think one of the things that Byju mentioned about kids having fun stuck in my mind, because I run a career guidance company, and that's what I tell parents and students a lot about. I'm sure a lot of the young people watching this have been usually motivated to either start up or scale up very fast. And TiE also does a lot of programs related to bringing the magic of entrepreneurship to people and to students. One of the special and unique programs that TiE has is something called the TiE Young Entrepreneur Program, or TiE. This is special and unique because, Byju, this is aimed at students in the age group of 13 to 18, really young adults, and it introduces the whole topic of entrepreneurship through a very well-structured program. And this program is running in over about 30 chapters worldwide for the last about 15 years. At TiE Bangalore, we've been doing it for the last about 5-6 years. About 7-8 cohorts have come out of it, and about 135 young smart people have gone through this program. The program, the quick bit about the program, this is structured in 2 parts. First part is a series of lectures which experienced TiE entrepreneurs take, spread over about 8 weeks, covering topics like problem identification, design thinking, rapid prototyping, and things like that. And then the students form groups and they build a plan. They actually, each of them builds a plan in small groups, and then they pitch it in a local competition at the TiE chapter level. And then one winner from that chapter then goes on to participate in a global competition. So actually, this year from the Bangalore chapter, a young group of about 4 or 5 kids from high school built EdTech kind of an idea, a plan, and they pitched it at the global level. And they also won some prizes there, the social impact prize and a teamwork prize and all that. So what we thought we could do is, this is a really smart bunch of youngsters, and they've gone through these multiple stages and they built a plan. So we thought we'll sort of give them a 2-minute opportunity at pitching at to you, and for them to get an exposure, and for you to hear what at the grassroots level TiE is doing in terms of promoting entrepreneurship or introducing entrepreneurship to kids. So we have a team of Rashi, Ayushi, Neeraj, etc. We'll just get on and we'll try to do a 2-minute elevator pitch kind of a thing. I heard what he said. I don't think in 2 minutes they can do full justice, but we're trying to also give them a taste of doing an elevator pitch. And I think, guys, you heard what Byju said about speaking very fast, and I hope you've rehearsed that. And so go for it, guys. So this is the team. So they will do a 2-minute elevator pitch, and then maybe if you have questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Rashi. All right. Thank you, sir, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. We are Team EduByte, the winners from TiE Bangalore and of multiple awards at the TiE Globals this year. And we are very excited to pitch EduByte to you today. And thank you so much for the invite. So yeah. Over 87% of schools in India, comprising up to 220 million students, lack access to computers. We at EduByte want to address this problem by providing tools, access to technology, and basic means to explore the world of coding. How do we do this? By providing the Byte V1, a solution that solves the problem of expense, accessibility, and the high power requirement, all at a low cost. The Byte V1 makes use of the Raspberry Pi 4 processor, consumes a maximum of 5 watts of power, and is configured with 4 GB RAM and a 64 GB flash storage. It runs on an optimized version of Linux-based operating system and is to also contain offloaded software required for basic programming. It is not an internet connecting tab, but a fully functional computer, and all of this at the price of just 11,650 rupees. We plan to approach corporates to seek CSR funds, explore opportunities to get government grants and angel investment. We plan to work with education foundations, schools, EdTech organizations, and nonprofits to reach our goal. Our aim is to inspire, cultivate, and uphold computational thinking temperament in our users through the Byte V1. We at EduByte aim at creating dreamers one byte at a time.
EduByte is very thankful for this opportunity and we'll continue to build this project. We look forward to your guidance, support, and mentorship. And if you don't mind, we would love to be a student innovation project for anyone who would take us in and give us the opportunity. Thank you once again for giving us this platform.
So cool. I hope that was short and sweet and looked like an elevator pitch. So Byju, any quick thoughts, reactions to encourage and motivate these youngsters who and they worked pretty hard at this. They worked almost 6 to 8 weeks to create this whole plan. There's a whole full-fledged PPT and a plan and all that, but they just try to capsule it in like 2 minutes.
Okay, and you have this this product ready, or like it's a prototype?
It's a prototype, sir.
Okay. No, it's like the fact that they are doing it this early, decades ahead of even we were thinking of doing like this is that itself is I'll say very, very encouraging. But more importantly, if it's about the challenge which they are trying to solve, access to devices is still the biggest challenge for most of the students, like especially the bottom 1/3, they don't even have access to a smartphone right now. This percentage, if there is a low cost, efficient device which can be scaled and which can solve this challenge, because it's even when we do our education for all, which is our CSR initiative, the challenge which we face is that there is no device. They don't have the device, and that's where we run a program called Byju's Give, where we are asking everyone to donate their old device, and so that we can load our content and give it to them. Now, if this can be scaled at that kind of price point, which can get more people access to device, because though everybody today talks about digital divide, the physical divide, right, which is there in our like building more schools and getting more teachers into our classroom, that's so suboptimal. Like in last 15 months, 18 months, you would have heard people talking about digital divide. But my answer to that is physical divide is a lot more glaring, and it's impossible to solve at scale. Like that requires like lot more investments and time, and still I don't think we can like have one building mode school is one itself is it's very, very capital intensive, but finding teachers to be in those classrooms is a bigger challenge, right? Because over the last couple of decades, that this challenge has only worsened. Like with so many other job options, we don't have good teachers, good graduates staying back in our smaller towns and villages. So the only way we can solve all these challenges at scale, whether it's access to teachers, access to content, is by using technology as an enabler, and device is a must-have over there. So from an opportunity or the problem which you are trying to solve is something which is very, very important.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. You guys have any question for Byju? Quick one. Here's a chance. Ask. Neeraj.
Yeah, go for it, guys. Come on.
I'm happy to, Shrikant, I'm happy to give them half an hour time in case if they want sometime later. You can
Lovely.
coordinate.
I think, Byju, when we were talking, I think they're a bit nervous here, so maybe the questions are not coming. But when we were talking, they were really thinking
you are asking them to ask questions in front of 100 other people, right?
Yeah, and they're overawed with the whole thing, right? So I think one thing they were thinking was that, because they're still students and they're passionate about it. I know because I mentored them. They're really passionate. They work very hard to think through the whole plan, specs and all that. And they intend to continue working on it as a side student project. So could this be, I'm just wondering, could this be a student project at Byju's, for example, where they could sort of get some mentorship from some of your product guys, tech guys, and they could, as a student itself, just keep developing it. Maybe it'll see light of the day in 1 year, 1.5 years or whatever.
Yeah,
would that be an idea?
I can, me and our team can give them some, mentoring is easy, right? Like
Absolutely.
all of us have more time because of the way we work today. If someone is telling they don't have time, they're just lying. So
absolutely. Yeah. So that would be great to understand. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Very fantastic presentation, guys. Well done, EduByte team. Fantastic stuff. Very inspiring.
Thank you, Byju. Thank you, Shrikant.
Hey, no problem. Okay. So I managed to, curate some questions. So I'm going to probably move on to those, if that's okay. And also I had the one on the team. So let me finish the one on the team because that's kind of close to my heart. And I also want to know personally how you managed to do that. Most companies, when they scale from, 1 million, 0 to 1 million, or, 1 million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million and beyond, typically can't manage with the same team or there are changes that happen in the core team. But at Byju's, it feels like even though you've acquired a lot of companies along the way, the core team that has scaled this from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100 has remained the same team. How have you managed to do that? That's like phenomenal and very, very difficult to do. I mean, not only, and a related question to that, which I got also was, how do you disrupt yourself? How do you get your team to disrupt themselves, which is the most difficult to do, right? You've told them something to do from point A to point B, but from point B to point C, the same things, the same rules don't apply. And, you need to do you need things to do differently, but the same team is doing it. So to get people to unlearn and relearn, like you said, is easier said than done. For you yourself, it may be easier to practice, but if it's a large team, especially now you have thousands of people, how do you do that? I mean, and especially in the core team, how have you maintained that over so many years, Byju?
Yeah, so one thing which when people ask me, give us one reason for like if you ask me to answer in one sentence, what's the reason for the relative success? I'll say it's having a strong core team where the compounding effect of continuity in relationships, that's impossible to match if you keep on like changing the team, right? Because when you change teams, when you change people, and if that is very frequent, then you kill the culture, right? It's like there is no, all companies are defined by that core DNA. It's like I normally say that all clubs, they have their own playing style, right? Now, if you change all the 11 players and bring 11 new players, and if you try making them play in a different, you like literally lose the DNA, right? So it's always about, now it's never about, like a lot of companies make the mistake of forgetting what those guys who will get you from 0 to 1, the same set of people will never get you, them alone won't get you from 1 to 10 and 10 to 100. But it's very important to have those 0 to 1 people also in the team, because they like all of them won't scale, and the companies will outgrow them, but they'll still know the company culture, and they will become your like they'll have to change roles, they'll have to change functions, and if they are flexible, and we have created a very flexible people have moved around, like all of us have primary roles and secondary roles. So 0 to 1 people are important, but they are very, very important. Now you need to build on top of that, right? When you bring in a lot of these, because we have created a lot of these entrepreneurs within Byju's, and we have also been able to get a lot of these exceptional entrepreneurs in the last 5 years those who came through these acquisitions and acqui-hires. And like it's about finding the balance between the two, right? You need to make sure that like even when they come from outside, you need to make sure that they are fitting in. We have to play the game the way we have played the game now, which is all based on first principles, questioning. Now, when more and more people come from outside, it's actually, it becomes even better because they question everything, right? So like anybody can question anything. It's like, it's not having that people having that freedom and that having that elbow room to experiment what they want to do or try out the things which. So we have encouraged, we have not penalized, we don't penalize failures, right? If you penalize failures, then you are killing the culture of entrepreneurship, right? So it's all about having so many entrepreneurs and coming together and working like entrepreneurs. And there is though the difference is only one letter over there, there's a huge difference, right? So the founders, co-founders get undue credit for what you normally build, but like having a lot of people, those who have this ownership, long-term thinking. If you have your product leaders changing every year, 2 year, you will only know product will go in multiple directions, right? And same thing, business leaders changing, company will go in multiple directions. So one thing which we have done, like both organically in our core team as well as in these acquisitions, we have been able to retain. It's not just about the founders and the co-founders, right? They get undue credit always, right? It's like we don't deserve that much anyway. Nothing is as good as what you read. Nothing is as bad as what you read, right? So so one thing which we have done is we have retained the top management, and if you do that, then they make sure that the next level and the next level they follow the culture. We don't try changing the culture in these acquisitions, right? We have done very difficult to integrate cross-border acquisitions. Osmo is a Palo Alto based team. We works 24/7, like on WhatsApp, like literally, right? Over there, if you expect them to work like that, that is when you lose people, you lose culture. And then if that is the case, because when you are like, for anything, you always take that decision on buy versus build. If you decide to buy because they have better expertise, then you need to make sure that the team stays at least still most of the team members stay, right? Not like, and it's never about just retaining the founder. So I don't know whether I answered your question. In short, the 0 to 1 people are important, very important. And that's where a lot of companies make the mistake of completely changing the team, because you change the team, you lose that tribal knowledge, you will end up playing like, see, the Barcelona can play only in one way. So when you bring rock star players, they need to make them play in their style, right? Those who are not able to fit in, they'll end up struggling.
Right. Okay. That's good. I'm going to ask one question from one of the curated ones.
I'll just add, Srikanth, one thing, which the fact that the 6 co-founders also started with me 10 years back, all of them are still there, is the single most reason. And they are not insecure. Their designations might not tell you what they really do. They all work like co-founders. We have significantly increased the founder mentality in the company over the last 5 years, with so many of these founders coming on board. And that's the key, right? For the companies to scale, or the other way around, like most of the companies don't, they struggle to scale because they lose this founder mentality. And in a lot of cases, founders themselves lose that founder mentality, right? They lose that hunger, they lose that ownership, right? So, and then if you leave it, then if you're only depending on operators, especially in business models like ours, where like everyone is actually figuring out and things change so fast. These are very early days, right? In terms of education and technology, this is literally the first decade. So it's important to do things based on first principles, and that requires a lot of like experimentation, like trying on multiple things, failing fast, and once you figure out what works, you should go big at it, right? That will happen only if you have enough people with skin in the game, enough people with that founder mentality.
Awesome. No, absolutely. So before I move on, actually, my bad. I had missed out 2 students who were to ask you questions directly. I think, if I can have Geeta, I did see her, and I think I missed calling out for those questions. So can we? Hi, Geeta.
Hi.
Hi. So do you have the students ready to ask Byju the couple of questions that that we had discussed? Yeah.
Rashi, are you there to ask questions?
No, Vinay, Geeta, Vinay and Vinay is coordinating this.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Vinay, if you can just have our... yeah. Go ahead, Sitara.
Yeah, go ahead, Sitara. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here. My name is Sitara Srinivasan, and I'm the founder of an EdTech startup called Nakshatra Sciences. We are basically into project and game-based learning, but more towards undergraduate level studies and research-oriented education. So my question is, usually unlike a pure tech startup, when you have an EdTech startup and you want to scale, like how Byju has scaled perhaps, you often have to compromise on quality in certain or even user experience. So how have you personally thought, or what are the solutions you've personally thought of to kind of counter this and make sure that the quality does not go down as you scale? So this is my first question. And I just want to add to that, do you meet up with upcoming EdTech founders? And if yes, how can I get a 30-minute meeting with you? Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, I'll answer the. See, like I'm happy to give anyone time, as I told you that, because meetings, like all of us have realized that last 15 months have been, like, at least for us, it's been very productive. I've got more time with my kids. I've got more time. We have done more deals. We have raised more rounds. This is what we've been propagating. If you ask me exactly, like, because we have been championing doing things online, whether it's taking classes, taking meetings, but till 15 months back, if I was willing to do only online meetings, a lot of these big investors, they won't even meet, right? So now things have changed so much that, and everybody has realized that I have not met most of these founders in person, like where we have closed acquisitions, like, but we have the same rapport which we have, and the advantage is that you can meet more frequently when you are online, when you are doing it this way. Like I'm happy to help if you can send across what you have, because I might not know most of like we know our sector well, but still happy to give our feedback. You can take it or leave it. And on to answer the first question on EdTech experiences versus the challenges, like on like what do you need to compromise while scaling up? I don't agree to that, because if you are able to see, the technologies can be used to productize most of it, right? Even the services part of it. So our core product, to answer like on while scaling up, with more users on the platform and with both the depth of engagement and breadth of engagement which we have seen, that is across individual users and across a large set of users in the same age group, we have been able to improve a lot on the personalization side of it. Like initially, while at launch, most of the personalization or the content was created based on what we thought. When I say what we thought, what teachers thought, teachers, the academicians, pedagogy experts thought. But over the last 2-3 years, from initially starting as technology as an enabler, it's becoming more and more of a driver today. So, and just like any product, more users and more data from users, you will only improve. So we don't need to compromise on the product side. On the services side, where teachers are involved, there's always this challenge that when you move from 100 teachers to 1,000 teachers and 1,000 teachers to 10,000 teachers, you will think that, okay, like, and that's the biggest challenge in that model, in live classes model, especially live one-on-one model. The biggest challenge is when you move from 100 teachers to 1,000 itself, the teacher quality will drop. That's where we have been able to productize, and I won't take full credit for it. I'll give that mostly to, and that's the main reason why it was very easy for us to do the Byte V1 Junior acquisition. As I told you, it's not, if it was just about creating a coding curriculum, it would have, the value which we paid wouldn't have been justified. So they've created a model where they've productized this part on how do you hire, train, and make teachers productive. And most of the times teachers who have never taught before, but like hiring high quality graduates, getting them trained, and recommendations, like what makes those sessions better is the personalized recommendations. So the teachers are like, we are not depending on teachers to personalize those sessions. We are depending on technology to give recommendations to teachers to figure out the right level of the activities given to students within a session. So like if you are able to use technology in its right in the right way, you can productize even the service component. So if there is any, like compared to offline, it's a like and for pure like offline education companies, it's a big challenge, and that's why it's impossible to scale beyond a certain region or beyond a certain number. But online and using tech allows you to do that far better than so if you ask me the like what you can provide online, it like in the offline world, like it's almost impossible to replicate in an offline classroom. That's why a blended classroom, like by telling that, I'm not telling that it's going to be the future classrooms or schools of tomorrow will be 100% online. There will be like it's always about finding out doing things in the middle, right? Finding there are things which can be done better online, do it online, and there are things which can only be done offline, or at least today. It can change maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, like, but
Great.
the blended model is ideal. School should be a blended school, though that's not, it's not going to be easy, right? Schools are not going to change the way they operate. It's like there's no incentive for them to change. So someone will have to come and positively disrupt from the other extreme and create online schools of tomorrow with a certain component offline, right?
Yeah. Aditya, go for it.
Hello, sir. My name is Aditya, and I'm an engineering student from Ramaya College. And I'm here on behalf of my friend Avish, who's the founder of an EdTech startup called EduCovery. So, like, my question was partly answered in the EduByte presentation, but like there is still this one aspect of it. Online education. So, Byju has been one of the initiators of online education in this country. And online education was started with the motto of, education for all, and to reduce the education gap which exists in our country. And in the meanwhile, Byju has, tried to like make education more accessible and make it more fun by making a lot of acquisitions and collaborations with companies like Disney. But in this course, like I feel that the main purpose of education for all has been lost. And especially like in a country like ours, where like 75% of the population doesn't even have access to any kind of digital infrastructure. Do you really think like online education is like, or EdTech startups are the future of this country? And considering in populous nations like ours, the major distribution factors are accessibility and affordability. Online education has definitely made it more accessible, but is it really affordable for our country where, 85% of the population is just earning 12,000 rupees a month?
So I agree to your question in terms of how do you make sure that it's also affordable for the, let's say, the bottom 1/3 of the student population, and they need this. Those who go to like most of them in the aspirational districts. I won't say the backward districts. That's a wrong word to use. How do you make sure that it's accessible to them? It's a big challenge. But if you ask me, the only way you can solve that challenge is not by, because billions of dollars have been invested into improving education at the grassroots level, but it's almost impossible to improve, right? I'll just give you a number. In the last 8 months, we have given out licenses 4.2 lakh. It's a small number, but still, and for these students, the only way for them EdTech is not their secondary option. For most of the paying audience, let's say for Byju's, our program, this is a complementary or a supplementary offering. For these 4 lakh plus students, this is their primary option. So we have given out licenses to 4.2 lakh students through our education for all. Now, like I mentioned multiple times that it's only relative success, because I will call it success only not when I can create the largest for-profit education company. The aspiration, and it's only an aspiration. Aspiration is to also create the largest not-for-profit education company. There's a real chance of doing that. Now, I don't want to talk about it because I want actions. I want the actions to speak for itself. But there's a strong intent to make it work for because I've gone to that kind of in school, right? I come from that kind of a background. So I know that if I had something like this at that point of time, I would have done a lot more things and a lot faster than depending on cricket commentary to learn English. And like that's all very suboptimal, right? And like today there is, so we have products which will help us to continuously innovate and invest like in creating these kind of formats. But there's also an opportunity to take it to the, like, I won't agree to the 75% number which you told, because the fact is today with the kind of the penetration which we have, like close to 70% of the students have access to a device. They might not have a device because we only need and that's where they only need a smartphone, right? And the smartphone costs are coming down, internet costs are coming down. So over the next 5-10 years, I feel the challenge which we have in our physical classrooms to a large extent can be solved by using technology as an enabler. But it requires a lot of people. It's like we can't do it alone. We need a lot of partners. Like governments have to take a lot of initiative, because there is a lot of money which is getting spent on education. But the right way to solve, if you ask me, is by, and that's why I was calling out that number. For those students, this is their only mode of learning.
Sir, if you don't mind, the point you mentioned about a lot of money being invested in the education system. So like there is one follow-up to this. Government makes a lot of policies. The new education policy came out, and the government is allotting a lot of funds to the education sector. But even despite all of this, the place where they fail or they lack is the implementation part. So how can private companies like Byju's, not wait for like the government schools and private schools to implement the policies, but be the initiators of the new education policy that has been initiated by the government but hasn't been implemented yet?
That's $1 billion question. The implementation and at the like implementing through schools is even in top schools is a big challenge, right? So now you are talking about schools where there might not have been electricity over there, or internet over there. So that's why I feel this problem cannot be solved by just like private companies alone. Like it requires a lot of government initiatives. Sometimes I always feel that because the results are not short term here, even governments are not incentivized to do the right kind of investments, because you won't be able to show results in 5 years, right? If you invest, results will be seen 15 years later. And there are examples of state governments doing this where there are much better education systems today, right? Without naming anything, where the investments have been made in like 1950s and 60s, but today you see the result, right? So now it's very difficult to solve this alone, but still my answer to this is the only way you can solve this is by using by getting technology into classrooms, and also like even faster will be by making sure that we go like the B2C route.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks. Sorry, those two students actually were chosen because they won a quiz, TiE quiz, which we conducted for students, and they won that quiz, and that's why they were chosen to ask you questions, Byju. So, I mean, I know that
I'm not able to answer the question because the challenge is something which is so big that to be very honest, it requires a lot of people, lot of companies, people, governments, everyone, NGOs to come together and solve, right? And it cannot be solved it'll take a few decades to actually solve, right? That's the real challenge.
I have believed that there is one answer, and I'm going to take a shot at it. I know that you are the one answering the questions, but I'm going to take a shot at this one, because I have always believed that a voucher system works very well in India, especially when it comes to K-12, because of lack of infrastructure, because of lack of the lack of teachers, because of lack of technology, etc., like you rightly mentioned, Byju. So I believe even despite all this, we are spending about 15,000 rupees per student per year on educating even a government child going to a government school on an average across government schools in India. This is the average. Imagine if you just convert that into cash, and they can only encash it, and you give private people the opportunity to actually build infrastructure and actually educate at the same price. And if I may dare say so, even at 10% lower. I'm telling you, the entrepreneurs will find a way. Okay, but let me not go there. It's going to, I'll then start talking for half an hour, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to end. I know. So first of all, apologies to the audience. I know there have been more than hundreds of questions, and I've had a lot of hands being raised. But we've really stretched Byju far more than what I had told him that we would. So last 60 seconds, I'm going to just do a quick rapid fire on some hotke topics, not education, mostly not education at least. So Byju, option here for you is to answer, choose one of them. You can't evade the question like rapid fire question.
I don't evade. The only thing is, for most of, I have maybe like throughout the session, you would have, it's for me, it's always about doing things in the middle. So if you are giving me two extremes, I'll end up picking both in some cases. Anyway, like let's give it a try. Anyway, it's for fun. So
yes. So Steve Jobs or Elon Musk?
Steve Jobs.
Okay. Growth or profitability?
Growth, but not at any cost.
Okay.
So that's an in-between answer.
Okay. Going back to your favorite game, Messi or Ronaldo?
Love Messi, respect for Ronaldo.
Hey, that's not fair. Yeah, really.
Love Messi. If you have one name is Messi, obviously.
Okay. Okay. Build or buy?
No, I need to give an honest answer here. It's like build things which we are good at and buy things which we are not good at.
Fair enough. And I think right tactic also. Okay. One which is, very, very emotionally close to me also. Federer or Nadal or Djokovic?
Federer, always. So.
All right. Okay. Fine. That made my day at least. Hey, thanks so much for your time. We got a solid 90-minute session with you. Really appreciate it on behalf of TiE members. I think want to call upon Madan to probably close this. Once again, thanks, Byju. I had a good time.
Thank you so much, Byju, Srikanth. This was a fantastic session. Byju, this was so candid from the heart. For me, the thing that, if I just reflect on the 1.5 hours, the thing that stood out for me was your equanimity and sthita prajna. I think what you said was so right, that I think that's what makes the entrepreneurial journey, whatever it is. We've had a fantastic participation by our EdTech startups. We have a lot of questions, which we will curate. I know this could have gone on for hours and hours. Maybe, Byju, we should do like an entrepreneur startup like the one you did at the stadium in Delhi. You should get some 20,000 entrepreneurs where you can address these questions as well. But really appreciate you taking the time and for being open to meet with startups, founders, generous with your offer of time. We will definitely take you up on that. And look forward to engaging with you on the TiE Bangalore EdTech journey as we go along, Byju. There's a lot that we can do. As you said, opportunities and challenges that we need to solve are massive. So look forward to your guidance and working together as we make truly education, change the lives of several more people.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Srikanth, you can coordinate for that meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And the time for, just to wind this up, may I request all of our EdTech SIG members also to switch on their videos for a brief few minutes so that people can, all of us in the audience can see who they are. And I'm sure you'll get to meet and interact with them more as we go along. If I can just request, yes, we have Srikanth, of course, is a part of it. Deepika is there, Murli, Geeta, Raveendran Krishnappa. We have a whole bunch of folks out here. I know it's a Saturday evening. We've gone way beyond our schedule, but just to share that we will continue our interactions with on the EdTech SIG. You will hear some other fascinating events, insights from entrepreneurs and the cohort very shortly. But please do fill up the form and look forward to working together and having fun, as you rightly said, Byju, while we make history. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. And Srikanth, huge thanks to you from the TiE fraternity for facilitating this and having such a lovely conversation. Take care. Thanks, Byju.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, Byju. Really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Deepika.
Well done, guys. Well done. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.